Welcome back. Let's bring you this tragic story now. The parents of a 6-week-old infant who died under mysterious circumstances at a Soshanguve clinic are still waiting for answers. Baby Botlhale died in December of 2017, a day after immunization. Now, the infant's mother opened a case with the police. eNCA's Masego Rahlaga joins us now to give us more on this particular story. Masego, good morning to you. Just give us some background to this story. What exactly happened here?
Good morning, Xoli. Well, as you said, in that particular case and in another one actually that we were contacted about in Soweto at the Shawela clinic, what happened with the baby in Soshanguve was that she was 6 weeks old, went for immunization at the clinic there in the Block B in Soshanguve. She unfortunately passed away the next day, and of course her mother and her father telling us that they think that there was something that happened that shouldn't have happened on the part of the nursing staff at that clinic, and the health department confirming to us that they do know about Botlhale. That's the name of the little girl who passed away, the infant actually, Xoli, who passed away in December 2017. And as you rightly said, the mother saying that she hasn't gotten answers since 2017. Now, what we do know, Xoli, is that since 2017, when the case was investigated, the SAPS obviously is the body that investigates criminal cases. If you as a family member feel that something untoward happened to your family member who passed away, it obviously is a case that is opened to the South African Police Service. They investigate, and if they feel that the test that they've gotten from their forensics is not conclusive, then they send it to the National Laboratory for Toxicology, and that's where the health department comes in. Now, Xoli, what I found out during the time that I've been investigating the story is that once it's the waiting list, or rather the huge backlog, is on the part of the health department and not the South African Police Service. What I found out is that with the South African Police Service, they actually have a clear mandate to give answers back to families at a certain time period, and they do that. According to their statistics, they do not have a backlog, and of course they do the forensics. Now, when it comes to pathology, it's out of their hands, and they have to wait for the National Health Department to then come in. And this is where I'll bring in our guest, Brigadier Judy Allen, who joins us from the Pretoria Forensic Laboratory Lab. Brigadier, can you just tell us, first of all, what is the role of this forensic laboratory to help the police in fighting crime and giving families closure?
Good morning, Masego. The Police Forensic Science Laboratory's main role in fighting crime is the police collect exhibits from the crime scenes. Then they are brought to the Forensic Science Laboratory for analysis. Our role is to analyze those exhibits to try and determine evidence that will assist the police in proving or disproving whatever evidence was found on the crime scenes. And then the analyst would be responsible to prepare a report, and this report would then serve in court. And then when the court needs expert evidence, the analyst would be called to come and testify.
Now, in terms of the sections that you have in this forensic laboratory, what are they? What are the different sections that deal with fighting crime here at the laboratory?
Thank you, Masego. Of course, it's very different to many people believe it's a lot like CSI, where it's one analyst which does everything. It's quite a bit different in reality. We've got 6 different sections in the laboratory, and each one consists of different expertise. And even within one section, one has a makeup of different types of experts. If we, for instance, look at the ballistic section, there we have different types of ballistic investigations which are done, and also, for instance, crime scene reconstruction and tool mark examination. And the crime scene reconstruction, some of it is even, for instance, vehicle accidents where engineers are involved in doing the reconstructions. The next section I'll just briefly tell you about is the biology section. They're responsible for DNA-related analysis of blood or body fluids, and DNA, I think everybody is very familiar with. It's extremely important in proving crime. Then the scientific analysis section, they are responsible to analyze. They've got a very, very varied types of analyses that they handle, related to mostly inorganic type of analysis, precious metals analysis, things like material analysis, which of course would involve also chemical analysis. Then of course they also have image analysis and, for instance, polygraph analysis and photography. That one is a very, very varied section, but with different types of expertise which are necessary within that section. The question documents section, they are involved in, for instance, banknote, determining if banknotes are fake or not, and coins, as well as, for instance, handwriting documents to determine if a document was fraudulent or a document is genuine. It can even be printing, for instance, not only the handwriting, different types of analysis. Then the Victim Identification Center, they are responsible for assisting the police regarding missing persons, to identify unidentified bodies, and also, for instance, where there's maybe a mass fatality, maybe a taxi burnt, etc. So those are, and then of course the chemistry section, which I myself am involved in. Our main purpose is drug analysis, identification of drugs. We also identify poisons, but it's different to what the Department of Health does. They involved in, for instance, the body fluids, etc. We're not at all involved there. Cause of death determination is not a chemistry function. And then fire investigation, for instance, to determine how a fire started, where it started. And, of course, also with regards to if people were manufacturing drugs, we might have to attend the crime scene and assist with the investigation in that regard as well.
Now, Brigadier, when we spoke to the health department, they were saying there's not a lot of people who are studying to also become forensics, and that's also part of the problem because there's not enough. What would you say to encourage young people to study this in this field, and what should they study?
Thank you, Masego. There are so many different things that people could study. As I said, we've got expertise in very many fields. For instance, for chemistry and for scientific analysis, the main qualification we do require for all the sections, we require at least the NQF6 or NQF7. That's a national diploma or degree in science, for instance. For chemistry, it is chemistry up to level 3, as well as for scientific analysis. We also, for scientific analysis, for instance, if one works on image analysis, it might be more multimedia or maybe psychology for the polygraph analysis. For ballistics, they also accept, for instance, a police diploma or a science qualification. And, of course, if you work in the engineering department, it can be metallurgical, for instance, or mechanical engineering. For victim identification, it is extremely varied. Apart from the analysis or the expertise which one needs for instance, for the DNA analysis, like in biology, which are things like genetics, microbiology, biochemistry. Then one also, for victim identification, can have expertise like anthropology, entomology. There's actually so many. I would recommend that if somebody has got an interest, that they get in contact with the specific section and determine whether their expertise would be suitable. And in the advert, I normally list exactly what the expertise is that would be considered. For question documents, it's very similar to the ballistic section. I hope I didn't miss anything.
Thank you so much, Brigadier. Now, Xoli, when we spoke to the health department yesterday, for instance, they were saying with pathology, now remember SAPS is responsible for the forensics, and then the pathology is then in the health department, and what they were saying is that actually they've seen more people studying to become pathologists, but because we only have 2 national laboratories and we have really old equipment, it means those people have those qualifications and they sit around, most of them not being able to actually be absorbed into the system to start working. And as when I spoke to the health department yesterday, the head of forensics in Gauteng actually was saying that, in his words, it's inundated. The backlog is really big. It's huge, Xoli, and therefore families are told to wait 5 to 10 years before they get any answers, especially in toxicology.